Okay, Wes, back to you. I'm a female art director. Our leadership team is stacked with men. I don't really want to have to leave as I've made so many great friends at this place, but I can't see a way through. How do I make CD?
Okay, this one I really had to think about and try and offer the kind of right advice that would work for the person submitting this question. So I'll try and do my best because obviously every situation is varied and there's a few different ways of doing this. But I think first and foremost, you kind of need to find the right person to have a chat with first. I would go for whether that's the CEO you get along with the best or the CCO or the ECD who can kind of, someone within that team, I think that can raise your concerns. I think that'd be the best way to do it, first of all, rather than go into the room and simply address everyone and tell them your demands or point out the obvious. But I feel like there was a phrase in your question, which I think you can kind of build the solution around. So our leadership team is stacked with men. I feel like just raising that and pointing it out is kind of enough. It's like, if they don't understand that this is kind of wrong for 2022, then there's something kind of not quite right with the organization. So I'd use that as the basis of the chat and point out the many disadvantages of an all-male leadership team. There's so many, but it might not be obvious to them, but obviously it's blinkered and rife with unconscious bias, something Andy and I are learning really a lot about in our allies group and Be the Change campaign. And I guess it's a way of pointing out you urgently need more diversity and a different point of view in this leadership team or the room. But also it's incredibly dated and it doesn't look great for that organization. It doesn't make them feel very progressive and modern. So externally, it's not the best look as well. These are just a couple of things I think you could raise with that person you trust the most within that group. But I guess that again, I always like to have an icebreaker, and I think a way in to start talking about it would be to ask that one person you trust the most, are there plans to expand or address the balance of the team to include more women? I think that's a really nice icebreaker and a way of kind of disarming the situation. Again, I'm always about not going in confronting so head on, but to try and help the person you trust the most or the leadership team address the issues you have. So that's like volume one, part one of how I think you start having that conversation. You ask, are there plans to expand or address the balance of the team? Because there might be. If there aren't, then I think you can take it. You can kind of take it to phase two and start talking about the negative effects of having a leadership team stacked with men. But it's kind of ridiculous that they don't know this. It's 2022. They should understand this themselves. I'm quite sure they must be, someone within that group must be conscious of the fact that there are no women in the group. It's bonkers this day and age. But then I guess the second part of the question is, how do you yourself make the jump to, I think it was to CD or to join this leadership group? I feel like you need to then suss out a plan and work with your boss and talk about KPIs, goals, timelines. I'm not sure of your relevant circumstances, whether you're smashing it and you straight away deserve to be part of this leadership team, or whether you're, a few years away. I obviously I didn't get that from your question, whether you feel you're up for it already or whether you just wanted to have the chat to broach it. But I think you need to go in there kind of armed. I'd highlight your achievements, value, and what you bring to that position, the organization. I'd have that before you actually have that one-on-one chat. So kind of the second part is, I think you need to be ready yourself and have the necessary experience and credentials to make the step up. I'm assuming you're not a junior and you want to just become a creative director. I'm assuming you're a senior and you think you're ready to make that step up. So I'd be prepared to back up your claims with the value you bring to that organization before you tactfully make that really obvious point that, guys, you need some women in this leadership team because it's kind of ridiculous. I'm sure Katie can answer much more articulately than the way I just fumbled.
No, it was good. What I heard you basically saying, and what we haven't got in the question is, how much information do you currently have? I'm asking this to the lady who's asked the question, like, how much information do you have about why things currently look the way they look, and how much scope is there for them to change? So one thing that's just come to me is there's a 4-part framework that I can share that she might like to use. In fact, any of you might like to use. This is also good for the question where they were being called girls. So there's 4 parts, and I'll role model it for the lady. I notice, I imagine, I felt, and I wonder. Now, what I like about this is you'll notice every sentence starts with I. So it's much softer. As soon as I start a sentence with you, the thing is about this company. The thing is about you. You are instantly, you probably notice your attack, defense, it's over, right? But as long as I'm claiming my position, I notice this, I feel this, much softer, right? The first 2 are about the other. So I'm showing that I have empathy and I have the ability to see beyond myself. And the second 2 are about myself. So it might sound a bit like this. I notice that our leadership team is male dominant. And I imagine, and then tell the truth of why you imagine that to be. I imagine that whatever you think it is, at that point in time, we had more males, or we had more people who were ready for promotion, or your network was more, just whatever you imagine the truth of that to be. And then claim what is the truth here about how you're feeling. Is it that I feel that I deserve to be on that team because she hasn't given us this information in the question? Or is it I feel concerned about this because I'm wondering about my future here? Or is it I feel, tell me the truth of what's here. What is it that you're holding here? And then with the I wonder, this is going to give you the opportunity to see how close you can get to this thing. So I wonder if you see me in that position too. I wonder how long it might be until you see me there. I wonder what I might have to do to get there. I wonder how likely that is in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. So it's a much softer way. So after having that conversation in that framework, the idea is it's information gathering, because that'll tell you, that'll help inform you, this is somewhere that I have a future and that I can stay and that I am understood and that I am heard. Or, oh, no, it isn't. So even that same framework with the, it's not as playful as yours, Wes, but again, this is why you've got to do it in your style, right? For me, it probably wouldn't, for me, the joking wouldn't work because it would be incongruent with how I was feeling. And it would come across as disingenuous. So I'd probably go with more like, I notice you keep referring to us as girls, and I imagine it's because you think that it's fun or it's flippant. But I actually feel incredibly upset by that, and whatever you feel by that, disrespected, whatever it is. And I wonder if I could ask for that to stop. That's how I would do it. But, we've all got, it doesn't matter how you do it, but the point is set yourself up for success. So hopefully that is a useful framework. And I wish her luck. It will be interesting as she steps towards that conversation to see how it's received.
Brilliant. I think that's very helpful.